radicals will swarm together. So the Khalistanis and the Muslim Brotherhood, lefties, they'll all get in the same circles, and the Khalistanis have basically learned the same tactics that the Muslim Brotherhood has used, because they work together, and use them on India. Which is why I got into the India thing back in 2019, when I realized all the anti-India rhetoric. I'm like, wait, I know all of this. I've heard all of this before.
Alexa Lavoie for Rebel News, and this is part of a series of exclusive interviews conducted by me and my colleague Efrain Mocento last Sunday in Toronto. We spoke with several speakers who took part in the United Against Extremism conference, a gathering that tackled crucial issues such as violent extremism, foreign interference, terrorism, national security, and the ideology of Muslim Brotherhood, among others. These are urgent topics, especially as mass immigration has opened the door for bad actors to infiltrate our country. One of our interviews features Daniel Bordman, a contributor of the National Telegraph, who is highly knowledgeable about both the Khalistani and Muslim Brotherhood movements in Canada. We discussed the rise of Islamization and the danger of sleeper agents already operating within our borders. Let's hear from him now.
So the current definition of foreign interference is someone at ANI News Network in India tweeting something at the Canadian government. That is not a great definition. That's what our Melody Jolie's RRR Rapid Response Report, that's what foreign interference was. Literally, here's a journalist tweeting about Justin Trudeau at a meeting, and they classify this as foreign interference, which started to make everyone go, ah. Now, we do have legitimate foreign interference. The real foreign interference scandal that we should have been talking about at the time is there might be 11 MPs in Parliament loyal to the Chinese Communist Party. That is foreign interference.
So, mass migration, everyone's talking about it. It's, too much, right? We can't have a country of 30 million people, barely build anything, and then be a country of 40 million people through immigration for various things. And it's not the immigrants' fault, it's just integration in general, right? So I think vast majority of Canadians don't need to be convinced that, mass migration is too much. Like we had Wyatt Claypool state that clearly 75% Canadians want massive reductions to immigration. So it's not the Canadian people. The question of that is now, how do we get that into narrative, government, media, right? It's about willing to say these things. You will see more Canadian flags on the cars driving through Punjab than you will in Canada. And why? Because in Punjab, they advertise where their children are. So you'll see a Canadian flag and a New Zealand flag. It means his son's in Canada, his daughter's in New Zealand. But you have these villages in Punjab that are decimated. There's old people, there's children, there's no one in between. And that's killing the society. These ghost towns are developing. So you have people being scammed out of their life savings because they think, oh, US dollars, Canadian dollars. Great. They pay $50,000 to a criminal in India and a criminal in Canada, immigration consultant. Their family wealth is sucked out. They're now flopped into this system at a fake school in Canada, and all the problems that we see here in Canada. But also there's equally devastating problems, back in Punjab, and you have these transnational criminal organizations that benefit from them.
Radicals will swarm together. So the Khalistanis and the Muslim Brotherhood, the lefties, they'll all get in the same circles, and the Khalistanis have basically learned the same tactics that the Muslim Brotherhood has used, because they work together, and use them in India. Which is why I got into the India thing back in 2019, when I realized all the anti-India rhetoric. I'm like, wait, I know all of this. I've heard all of this before. Where's this imaginary genocide coming from? I go, oh, it's, Kashmir. Okay, it's just more Muslim Brotherhood nonsense.
Most Canadians don't want to be screaming about immigrants. A lot of us have immigrant backgrounds. Some of us have been here 12 generations, some 4, some 5. No one wants to be, oh, the browns, the blacks, the whatever. But there are serious, serious problems. And you hit them out. It's mass migration and foreign interference. And I'll add in Canadian hokey dokey attitudes, head in the sand type thing where, listen, if you're a country that doesn't enforce crime, you're going to get more crime. But I think a lot of Canadians, especially because you're not going to get this in the CBC, need a tangible why articulated to them that is humane, that can explain it from both people's perspective and then make them, because you find Canadians are very reasonable if you give them the time of day, right? If you can sit down Canadians and be like, here's a problem, here's how it's, no one's color is at fault here, it's simply a procedural thing, and X equals Y. So I think you can make a real difference, because we now have a population that's craving these conversations, that wants them, and you saw tons of alternative media show up here and not a lot of traditional media.
The Muslim Brotherhood is highly litigious, and there's tons of money flowing into Qatar to launch frivolous lawsuits against critics. That's another way of silencing dissent. And each country will go about it kind of in their own special way. We're talking about, potential Indians assassinating part of Signature, the head of the Khalistan Tiger Force, was it gang warfare, this and that. But one of the reasons that I never really trusted the CSIS report on this, or trusted Trudeau on foreign interference in the lives of Canadian citizens, is because Sam and I had a friend who was murdered by the IRGC here in Toronto.
Politicians have a hard time saying no to money. And Canada, money laundering is very easy, right? We have snow washing, we have no RICO laws, we have no organized crime laws. Like real estate, money laundering, casinos, money laundering, and a great easy way to money launder kids. Kids, you want to go to money laundering? Politics. A great way to launder money is into the political parties, right? Through these donations. And the way we have political donations set up to stop rich people from there's this evil oil baron in Alberta, and he wants to make Stephen Harper king of the world, and if he gives $1 million to the Conservative Party, no one will have freedom again. We must stop him. Everyone must be limited to $1,500 donations. And you go, okay, well, now what you've enabled is a system where the people who can coordinate different people to give that money have the thing. Well, who benefits here? This is the Muslim Brotherhood, the CCP, the Khalistanis. You need some concrete, visible deterrence, okay? You have to understand the mind of extremists. Sending them a letter to go to court 3 months later, that doesn't affect them. There physically needs to be some IRGC members grabbed, handcuffed in front of cameras, and thrown and shown some deterrence. Even if you're doing it to 5 people of the 700, there needs to be a public display that, okay, the jihadists have to know, the security agencies are coming after the extremists. We need to have some RICO laws on organized crime, okay? Enough of these things of every crime is disconnected from other crime. Look at how the FBI deals with crime. We need some form of RICO laws to deal with organized crime here. General deterrence. There needs the catch and release program has to end. One of the reasons car theft is so prevalent is because there's no deterrence. It became $1 billion industry. They have the ports. They have ports on the other side. So, some harder deterrence, like some actual, I think we need some mandatory minimums on violent crime. We need some mandatory minimums on fentanyl smuggling and drugs. Probably a stronger show at the ports, some sporadic, a changeover. We know the ports are corrupted. I think there needs to be a change in the Port Authority. And then, a general more harsher crime. And then from us as civilians, we should talk about it more. And one of the reasons Khalistan was so prevalent for 40 years, no one talked about them. They were allowed to go completely unopposed. So now that they're slightly opposed and people are saying, what are these lunatics doing running around waving swords at everyone? Right? It's hurt their movement. So more criticism Khalistan, more criticism of the Muslim Brotherhood. The National Post article is good. The report is good. More coverage, more Rebel News interviews with people on this stuff. So I it's all connected. We have a total societal failure, but I think the antidote is not to just throw your hands up and be like, no one cares, right? Take the initiative. You should care. Tweet about it. Like a tweet. Follow someone who does this if you want to get involved, and then push the needle forward. And if you're the government, you need to find some concrete deportable terrorists, grab them, put handcuffs on them, pictures of the handcuffs, deport. And I think that would go a long ways to adding some deterrence, because a lot of the big problems is no one feels deterred towards bad behavior these days. So let's deter some of it.
Really important conference like that, and no mainstream media showed up, but we are here to show you the other side of the story. So if you appreciate our work and you want to support us, please go over rebelfieldreports.com, chip in whatever you want, couple of bucks to help us to continue to show you the other side of the story, because I drove from Montreal to Toronto to show you. Thanks.